Dante Greco.
Dante is a really smart guy.
Ladies love Dante. He's not got a hair. Look at that face. What's your name, Casey?
Dante Greco.
Dante. Must meet yours truly.
I'm gonna come.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Dante Greco Show. Big day. Gonna do a short show today because I've got a gig I gotta get to. I'm gonna be doing some red carpet coverage for a tribute to Betty White. Guess it's her birthday, so I'll be doing that. Alec Baldwin was charged with murder. No, involuntary manslaughter, which is still pretty bad. Surprising, very surprising. We didn't think that Alec Baldwin was going to get charged. He didn't think that Alec Baldwin was going to get charged. Supposedly, he had insiders that were telling him, oh, there's no way they're going to charge you. I was on the fence. I thought it would be unlikely, but at the same time, it's New Mexico. Maybe they think, you know what, we don't care who you are. We're going to charge you if we found the evidence. They believed what the FBI had to say, that he had to have pulled the trigger. It was negligent. Feel terrible about it for everybody involved. Got to be honest. Listen, I know Alec Baldwin is a very polarizing figure. A lot of people don't like him. Some people even hate him. But I've always enjoyed him as an actor, as a personality. I kind of like that he gets into it with people. He's mixing it up. He's always angry at somebody. His Trump impression on SNL was terrible. I think we can all agree. That was more about him and Trump having a personal beef, and so I think it was to antagonize Trump. The guy they have doing Trump on SNL now, much better, by the way, although he kind of looks like a turkey when he's in the Trump makeup, but whatever. The voice is very good. He's facing close to 5 years in jail, and not just him. He and Hannah Gutierrez Reed, who was the armorer on the set of Rust. I bet she and Alec both woke up today thinking, God, I hope it's Hannah. And she was thinking, God, I hope it's Alec. And then the other guy, Dave Hall, took a plea deal. So, he's got a 6-month suspended sentence, I believe, and probation. Let's see what CNN is saying. They're doing live updates. This is from 7 minutes ago. Manslaughter charges for both Baldwin and Gutierrez Reed. A jury will be asked whether the two are guilty, with an option to choose between two legal definitions of the crime. Potential sentencing. That choice between manslaughter definitions could have a major impact on the penalty, should either defendant be found guilty. While each is punishable by up to 18 months in jail and a $5,000 fine, a firearm enhancement accompanying one definition would be punishable by a mandatory 5 years in jail. Now that is like, fuck. Again, I feel terrible for everybody involved. Hold on, let me clear my throat. I muted the mic for a second. Okay. Terrible for everybody involved. I mean, look, Alec Baldwin, he's like 60, in his 60s. He's got 15 kids. He's going to be a grandfather. I think he just had another kid. I don't know what. Does he have a farm? Is this like the old days? But whatever. Feel terrible for him facing possible 5 years mandatory in prison. But you also got to feel terrible for Helena Hutchins. She had a kid and she is dead. And she's, she doesn't get 5 years anyway. Her years are over. The families, Hilaria. God, I bet Alec misses the days when he could, his biggest scandal was that Hilaria was faking her Spanish accent and persona, or getting into it with paparazzi in New York City and calling them, sea suckers and stuff like that. I bleeped that because I don't know if YouTube will allow that word, or is it hate speech? Both defendants deny the charges, of course. Baldwin's attorney called the decision a miscarriage of justice. He repeated the actor's assertion that he had no reason to believe there was a live bullet in the gun, laying blame for the tragedy on others involved in the production. Gutierrez Reed's lawyer said the charges were absolutely wrong and voiced confidence a jury would not find her guilty. I mean, yeah, Alec, for sure, in my opinion, was hoping that she was just going to take the fall for this whole thing. He's already sued her. He sued everybody. Everybody's suing everybody. The weird thing was that before all this, they said that production was going to resume. Like, you would think they would get this resolved of like whether the main actor is going to be in prison before resuming filming. Alec, for his part, I thought it was quite interesting how he just kind of took about a month or two off and then resumed public life. Back in the day, a tragedy like that, you wouldn't see Baldwin for years. You know, maybe in like 5 years, he'd do an interview with the New York Times or with Barbara Walters, you know, assuming she was alive during this fantasy. So he went back to work. He got cast in another movie. He resumed his podcast. Here's the thing. And he just kind of carried on like as if nothing was happening. I remember every day, or not every day, but like practically every day over the summer, he was doing Instagram lives from his home in the Hamptons, you know, just reminiscing and sharing his thoughts. So it was an interesting strategy. I don't know that it was the best strategy to just carry along publicly. Privately, okay. How are we supposed to know if privately you're acting like everything's normal? Publicly, you should kind of wait until you're cleared. But I don't think this is the end of his career. I bet there's a lot of people in Hollywood, actors, stuntmen, directors, like who are sitting there saying, you know what, this is bullshit. You know, they're going to start locking us up for shit that happens on sets. We're just trying to make movies. It was an accident. I'm sure her family doesn't feel that way. Of course, Helena. So, yeah, there she is. Terrible. Got hit by that shrapnel. She even made a dry joke when it happened. I think she said something like, "Oh, that's not good." And then, fuck, you know, they just couldn't revive her. She died in the helicopter, I believe. Terrible stuff. Gutierrez Reed has been the one that Alec, I think, is trying to pin all of this on. You know, there she is sitting in the back of the squad car on that day. Let's go back and keep reading what CNN was saying. What happens next? District Attorney Mary Carmack Altwies told CNN she'll formally file the charges before the end of this month, but that her office will not request an arrest of Baldwin and Gutierrez Reed. Okay. The two will be required at an initial court appearance, which they may do by video. The district attorney says she does not plan to charge anyone else involved in the production. Whoa. So it's all on them. Baldwin's got to be pissed at everybody in his orbit right now. He's got to be pissed at everybody who told him, hey, you're not going to get charged. His lawyers, definitely Hannah Gutierrez, Reed, Dave Hall, the whole production, everybody involved. He's probably pissed. Probably pissed at the director, who also got hit. It's interesting, you know, so they're not going to arrest them. What does that say? You know, it was an accident. Whether it was negligent, okay, the courts will decide, but it was an accident. This wasn't malicious. I know people think that Baldwin is out there just ready to start opening fire like he's fucking Tony Montana, but this was not a malicious shooting. So I guess I applaud that decision not to arrest them. Will Baldwin be able to get a plea deal? I've been trying to research that all day long to find out, like, is a plea deal on the table for him? You know, some kind of probation thing. Why the Rust shooting is really a difficult case for prosecutors, according to CNN senior legal analyst Ellie Honig. It's not clear-cut negligence and includes factual issues. First of all, Honig said New Mexico First Judicial District Attorney Mary Carmack Altwies told CNN that she doesn't know, and we might not ever know, how live rounds got onto the set. That's a major factual issue. The defense lawyer is going to stand in front of a jury someday and say, they want you to convict my client, and they can't even tell you how those live rounds got there. I agree with him. You know what? They've been investigating this for over a year, and they never figured out how the live rounds got there. What happened with the story that some of the people took the guns out after shooting not after filming one day, and were like shooting cans in the desert, and maybe some live rounds got into the guns and they weren't properly cleaned or something? Interesting. Secondly, the incident happened on a movie set, and most normal people do not know what the norms are on a movie set. So the expertise of prop masters are heavily relied upon, but even those experts have different views on what the obligations of actors and crew members are on set. Yeah, I mean, on the other side, when you're dealing with a gun and it has, just like fake bullets, whatever, like, you still need to be very safe. Guns, I've only handled guns a couple times in my life. And I'm out here in liberal communist California, and we don't like guns. But I've handled guns a couple times in my life. I shot a shotgun. I've never shot a handgun. I shot a shotgun once. I was in Texas on my friend's ranch, and we shot a cactus, and that thing was scary. So, whether it's prop guns, whatever, you do have to be extra careful. You got to check this shit out. It doesn't matter that you're on set and that, you might be losing the light or worrying about going into golden time or whatever the fuck is, you're on your low budget movie. You still got to be extra careful. But you're also relying, as it said here, on the expertise of the prop master and the armorer. Honig says, remember, this is a criminal case. You need all 12 jurors to find guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. So I'm not saying that there's no chance here, but this is a really difficult case for the prosecution. Honig also said he was stunned that the district attorney just decided to charge Alec Baldwin as both an actor and producer. Wow. The question about a producer, that gets into the questions of what exactly was Alec Baldwin's job? What were his responsibilities as it relates to the many other directors, producers, professionals on that set? And look, sometimes people are producers in name, but are not actually in charge of things in a hands-on way. Oh, yeah, that's like me when I was at TMZ. I was a field producer, but really I was just out there with a camera. Luckily, I was not. The type of shooting that I did was interviews. All of these are complex factual issues. This is not a civil proceeding. This is a criminal proceeding. Yeah, so, this might turn out to be like an OJ situation. I know I reference OJ a lot on this show, but he's just so useful as a reference for celebrity legal troubles, where maybe Alec doesn't get convicted in the criminal courts, but in the civil courts, when Helena Hutchins' husband comes after him, he's going to be in trouble. Let's see what some of you were saying. Hello, Natalie. Good to see you. As always, lock him up. Bye for the Hobbit. Okay. And Jessica, I wouldn't be able to say for sure that there was ill intent. Reasonable doubt, in my opinion. Right. I don't know what it is. It's a little colder here today randomly. I keep having to clear my throat. Sorry. Yeah, I don't think there's ill intent. I think it was an accident. I don't think he's going to be convicted unless they get a jury of people that just hate Alec Baldwin. As I said at the beginning, a lot of people hate Alec Baldwin. They don't like him. I'm a big fan of that movie, Glenn Ross. I have a soft spot for that monologue. So, I don't necessarily want to see the guy end up in jail, if I'm being totally honest, but you got to be fair. Look, a woman died. A young mother and wife and daughter died because of this movie. There's no way they're going to continue the movie now. I know that they announced that they were going to continue the movie, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago, but right, they can't continue this movie now. Coffees for closers. Exactly. Always be closing. Always be charging with involuntary manslaughter. Mr. Mr. Baldwin had no reason to believe that there was a live bullet in the gun or anywhere on the movie set. He relied on the professionals with whom he worked, who assured him the gun did not have live rounds. We will fight these charges, and we will win. That's what Baldwin's attorney said, presumably after getting yelled at by Alec Baldwin, in my opinion. The district attorney, other actors and celebrities have told my office that they always check their guns. She noted that some of those actors were even A-list celebrities. Every person that handles a gun has a duty to make sure that if they're going to handle that gun, point it at someone and pull the trigger, that it is not going to fire a projectile and kill someone. An actor does not get a free pass just because they are an actor. That is what is so important. We are saying here in New Mexico that everyone is equal under the law. Carmack Altweez said there were live rounds mixed in with the dummy rounds and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we know that. Yeah, you know, Baldwin, that's the problem. He does have the responsibility. It's just such a sad, painful situation for everyone involved. But he did have the responsibility to check it too. So I can't fault people if they find him guilty, but hopefully maybe on one of the lesser charges. I don't know. I mean, does it really make anyone super happy to see him in jail for 5 years? How old is Alec? Alec Baldwin is 64. Wow. Okay. So 64, things can go to trial. So like Alec Baldwin out of jail at 70. I don't know. I don't know that he can make it. You know, he's got that hip problem. I've seen him walking around before. He's kind of like lumbering. What do you guys think? They have a duty. They got to projectile upon everyone. Is this the time when Alec Baldwin should just pick up and flee? You know, I always see these celebrities. Ghislaine Maxwell. Who's the other one? God, I can't remember. But now Alec Baldwin. Should he just go to France or go to one of those countries that doesn't extradite celebrities in particular to the United States for prosecution? If this thing starts to look like it's going, because like he's not being arrested, so I don't think he has to surrender his passport. I didn't read anything about him surrendering his passport. Should he flee the country now? 5 years is a drop in the bucket for life. Someone can drunk drive and kill someone and get 20 years. I know that's all true. This is all so true. It's terrible. Oh wait, I want to get to that in a minute, but yeah. He didn't think he was going to be charged. That's the thing. I want to see what the 5 is talking about. The 5 here with Geraldo and Garagos. 1 second. Because I saw they said, has Alec Baldwin convicted himself already? Now listen, you got to go into this, take it with a grain of salt. It is on Fox. They do lean right, so they might be anti-Baldwin, but you know, they're Garagos. I like Garagos. I like Geraldo. So let's see what they have to say.
Joining Janine a little bit later today and is also Fox News correspondent at large, of course, attorney Brian Claypool and Mark Garagos, a criminal defense attorney who represented Chris Brown, Scott Peterson, Michael Jackson. He has a huge resume of dealing with very high-profile cases, and this indeed is one of those for sure. Geraldo, what's your reaction to this involuntary manslaughter charge that Alec Baldwin now faces? As Janine said, he faces 6.5 years in prison at this trial.
If I were representing Alec Baldwin, I tell you right now, Martha, I would be advising him to plead, to get a plea deal, to get something like David Hall's got, the 6-month suspended sentence. That's appropriate, I think, in this case. Because what he faces, this grim reality of the mandatory 5 plus the 1.5 years. Alec Baldwin has, in my view, convicted himself out of his own mouth. He said, quoting, "I would never point a gun at anyone and pull the trigger at them. Never. The FBI says that gun could not possibly fire if you didn't pull the trigger." So Alec Baldwin, he points a real loaded gun, he pulls the trigger, and Helena dies. It is involuntary manslaughter. It's as if you're texting while you're driving, and I wasn't really texting, and then it shows up on your iPhone that you were indeed texting. He killed her. He didn't mean to. I feel awful for him. I feel worse, obviously, for the family. All of this stuff that the husband's now the executive producer of the movie sounds very Hollywood-ish to me, but I think you have a case here that is as close to a slam dunk as you're going to get, Martha.
I agree with Geraldo. I think he should probably just take the plea deal. I know he wants to fight it. He wants to prove he didn't do it. He's got a big ego, but don't fuck around here. Take the plea deal. Because, if it goes to a jury trial and they convict you, then you're going to go to jail. A mandatory 5 years in a jail in New Mexico. Probably already hate New Mexico because of what happened there on the set. You probably never want to step foot in New Mexico again. Now you're going to have to spend 5 years in a prison. Take the deal. Narcissistic. Exactly. Someone needs to, whether it's Ilaria or the kids or somebody needs to talk some sense into him. Take the deal. Don't mess around with that. Let's see what Garagos has to say about it. We heard from Geraldo. Now let's hear from Garagos.
Mark Garagos, what's your take?
Well, I said in real time, I never understood from a criminal defense standpoint why he gave that interview that you showed to George Stephanopoulos. It was a disaster when he said, I didn't pull the trigger. It was a disaster when he said, I wasn't responsible. I understand why he did it, because having represented many famous and infamous people, you're always surrounded by what I call the 5 and 10% crowd who are giving you advice, and you rarely get a client who's listening to the criminal defense lawyer. But I'll tell you, today they came out and the lawyer was saying, we're going to win this, and with the great bravado. I don't think that he plans on pleading to anything. I think he feels like he's going to blame everybody else, and that's going to be the defense, and hopes that he charms his way out of it. It's by the way, the only thing I disagree with Janine about is that we will never see the settlement agreement. I think you're going to see the settlement agreement. I think that's going to come out, because I think clearly when they cross-examine the surviving spouse, that's going to be front and center as to why he agreed to be executive producer. And by the way, I don't think that the money came out of Alec Baldwin's pocket. I think Alec Baldwin probably, and through his agents and lawyers, put pressure on the insurance companies to settle this case.
And correct me if I'm wrong, a panel of lawyers, but the bar for a jury in the criminal side of this case is beyond a reasonable doubt, as it always is. But in the civil case, it's a preponderance of the evidence.
Okay, that's what I was talking about earlier. So, it seems like everyone's in agreement. And why? I'm not even sure, by the way. As I said before, I've been trying to find out, is there even a plea deal on the table? But if there is, why put yourself through an even longer period of time having to deal with this? Like, it's already been 15 months. Yes, you went back to work and tried to act like everything was normal and did a whole nother season of your podcast. But like, why put yourself through this and your family and Helena's family? Like, take the deal. Accept the responsibility that, it was some kind of negligence without ill intent, and move on. I think that's the best move. Is at this stage in his life, with how much he's got going on. By the way, he's got like 25 kids that he's had in the last 5 years that he has to put through college and save up for. And, he's got to work again. He's got to get, I know he's been working, but like, he's got to get back into like big movies and get back on, what was the game show that he was hosting? I doubt he'll get that gig back after this, but even if he's got to go the Bruce Willis route where he just or the Nicolas Cage route where he just takes every horrible movie that comes across his desk to get things right, because that civil suit can also damage him. I think that's why he was trying to sell his Hamptons house. I don't remember if its sale actually went through, but he was trying to sell his Hamptons house and then move to Delaware because it would shield his assets, I believe. It said he was told there had been no rounds in it. Right. I don't know what it's like to draw a gun or how easy it would be to pull the trigger doing so, but take the plea. Agreed. Yeah. I mean, in my mind, I don't think he was like, grr, but he would probably touched it. Probably very sensitive trigger. Who knows? The gun, supposedly like an old piece of crap, but either way, that was his finger. The FBI concluded it, and that's what the prosecution is going to go with. So, Trump's fault, yes. The Trumps have got to be celebrating. I think they are. Donald doesn't tweet much anymore, but Donald Jr. is always tweeting about this. Avenatti, Alec Baldwin, all these characters from the last 6 years keep getting caught up in legal trouble. Avenatti, what a dumbass. What are you doing? Trying to take on Nike? Whatever. We're not here to talk about that. So that's Baldwin. We're going to continue following this Baldwin case. I do want to talk about Brian Walshe real quick before. Is he not already set for life financially, even with his 25 children? Well, that's the thing. Like, he was until they just kept having kids. And, we all know kids are bundles of joy, and it's life and it's the future. We love it. But they're gonna cost a lot of money, because Alec Baldwin can't send his kids to public school. He can't just he's not gonna live in some like low income area. He's got to keep up, and forget him. Hilaria is gonna want to keep up appearances. She's gonna want her kids in all the fanciest schools, and she's got like 20 plus years on Alec. She's going to be around for a long time. And those cooking show appearances with the fake Spanish accent aren't going to pay the bills. This guy has a lot of stress. It's going to be tough for Alec going forward. I feel for the guy just because I've enjoyed some of his movies. I mean, that's the magic of Hollywood. You can overlook people's character flaws or personality flaws because you like them in movies. Joy of Everything says, as much as a narcissistic clown as Baldwin is, if I'm on a jury, I'm not holding him accountable. Whoever put the live round in the gun is liable. Yes, I wouldn't want the armorer to do jail time. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's her fault first, then Alec Baldwin's fault. But it's just a tragedy. It's a movie set. Like, they're trying to make a Western in 2022, and it's like, it's fake. It's make believe, and someone gets killed. It's horrible all around. I like Westerns, though, by the way. Don't get me wrong. Real quick, let's just talk about Brian Walshe. He has now been charged with murder, and I loved to read this. Legal experts call him dumb as dirt. Are you seeing this? Let me pull that up. Someone is accountable for bringing live ammo to the set. Can you believe that they said in the report they still couldn't figure out? We may never know how the live ammo got there. Like, who dropped the ball there? What is that? What kind of Omerta Mafia code of silence do they have on that Rust set that no one could figure it out? Where is this? All right, Brian Walshe allegedly killed his wife and dismembered it. I mean, this is just a horrific story. He searched. What disturbs me the most, whole thing's disturbing. He searched for terms like how to dismember a body on his son's iPad. Like, what a sick fuck. Let's read this. Alleged wife murderer Brian Walshe is up a creek without a paddle after his Wednesday arraignment, legal experts say. If these allegations are true, he, by the way, was accused of murdering his wife. She went missing on New Year's Day. If these allegations are true, it's stunning how dumb as dirt this guy appears to be, Says Mark Betterow, a high-profile criminal defense attorney. It's unbelievable. Or as Jay Leno used to say, it is unbelievable. Can you believe this? Guy's dumb as dirt. No, this is a true story. His internet searches, as sick as they may be, are rational in a cogent thought type of way, the lawyer said. There appears to be a lot of planning, and it appears to be well thought out, which would work against any kind of mental health or maybe insanity defense, it says here. Prosecutors revealed the dad of 3 used his son's iPad to Google how to stop a body from decomposing, how long before a body starts to smell, hacksaw best tool to dismember, and can you identify a body with broken teeth? How fucking dumb is this guy? He's been living in this century with the internet and smartphones as long as we all have. He doesn't know that if you Google that shit, they're not going to find it. What do you think? He could clear his browser history, put it on a private browsing? How fucking stupid. And what kind of suggested ads do those searches bring? Holy shit. Dumb as dirt. Look at him. Disheveled. Again, this is all alleged. And if he didn't do it, then, as usual, I'll say sorry and delete the video. But I think just like our guy in Idaho, Brian Koberger, I think that every day the evidence gets more and more clear. Let's just quickly see what you guys are saying. Crazy. Pray for Jay Leno. Jay Leno is doing well. He's still performing. Walsh looks like a poorly aged Mike Damone from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And with what he bought at the hardware store, messy criminal. Yeah, very stupid. He should have used Bing. Law enforcement wouldn't have thought to check that search engine. You're probably right. They probably would have taken them several weeks longer to get to that. Who even uses Bing? He should have used Ask Jeeves or Alta Vista, if anyone here was around in 1999. Police have yet to locate the body of Anna, a real estate manager who lived with Brian and their kids. Without the body, it's not a slam dunk case for the prosecution, said former New York prosecutor Duncan Levin. If they find her body, the case will obviously become much more difficult for the defense to have a fighting chance. Yeah, definitely. He explained that even though the prosecution's argument looks strong, the case is still young and all the evidence gathered by authorities is subject to attack. It's too early to tell what holes there may be in any of the evidence. Obviously, from what we know, there is an extremely strong circumstantial case against Brian Walshe. You could not have planned a worse murder if you tried, Levin added, saying Walshe appeared to have bungled every aspect of this from beginning to end. And as I always say, thank God. It's mind-boggling and frustrating just from a person who's logical to be how can you be so stupid? But thank God you were, because it makes it a lot easier to catch you. They should be able to find the body. This guy isn't too smart. Yeah. Well, I mean, unfortunately, if he probably disposed of it, dismembered her or something, because that's what he was searching. But David Crosby dead. Yes, I'm going to get to that in 1 second before I wrap up. Jay Leno suffered 50% burns. Yeah, but he was out there the next week joking. It's crazy. The guy just loves to work. Been a horrible past year for the name Brian. It has. The only guy who's coming out of this looking good is Brian Entin from News Nation. He also suggested the defense might try to move the trial outside Cohasset. Flip side of the pretrial publicity is okay. Here we go. Prosecutor said Wednesday that during Walsh's previously reported trip to Home Depot to buy $450 of cleaning supplies with cash, his purchases included a Tyvek bodysuit, mops, and baking soda. Worse, a man in a Volvo matching Brian's description was caught on surveillance footage lugging heavy trash bags into dumpster. Oh, God. This is the dumbest man in America. Fucking idiot. Okay. but again, as like the human comedy of just how stupid this guy is, it is terrible what he did. And it sounds like for inheritance, she had a $2.8 million real estate portfolio. So he may have been trying to get the money, or he may have had problems with women. I don't know, but it's an awful story. We will continue to follow that as well. Real quick, as Natalie pointed out, yes, we had the news. David Crosby is dead. Let me go here. At 81 years old. David Crosby, Stills and Nash, very popular in the 1960s and 70s. Joy of Everything, who used to work with me at TMZ, by the way, if anyone is curious who this is. He shot Crosby at LAX. No soundbite. Resembled the comedian Gallagher. That's true. Yeah, I only saw David Crosby once in the field in Hollywood. I was... Oh, shit. Those are my ducks. Let me let them out of the room. Hold on. Hold that thought. Okay. Yeah, one time I was training a new camera guy, and he tried to interview Crosby, and Crosby was like, no, get away. So he died at 81. It is with great sadness after a long illness that our beloved David Crosby has passed away. He was lovingly surrounded by his wife and soulmate Jan and son Django. Although he is no longer here with us, his humanity and kind soul will continue to guide and inspire us. Yeah, Crosby, Stills and Nash, they kind of broke up, and there was a lot of acrimony, if I remember correctly, although they did seem to all come together last year in support of Neil Young pulling his music off Spotify because of Joe Rogan. So that was, nice in a way. Oh my God, there's so much activity here at the Dante Greco newsroom. Give me one more second, please. Here's one of them. This is Luna. So I just, what I remember about Crosby as of late, which I'm a fan of the music, but he was quite active on Twitter, actually. So I thought we would just take a quick trip down memory lane, David Crosby's Twitter, see what was on his mind recently before he passed away. What's his most recent stuff? So he is he anti? And the Oscar goes to, and I'm assuming they're saying that Greta Thunberg is lying about being arrested here. Is he anti-Greta? Is he pro-Greta? Let's see. What's the best Beatles song for a rainy day? Rigby, Eleanor Rigby, All the Lonely People. Every time I look at TikTok, that's the song that plays in my head. All the Lonely People. One of his best. Okay, so he was tweeting about January 8th. Oh, that was just yesterday. Oh, shit. How out of it am I? I didn't even realize this was yesterday. So he's tweeting about the Beatles, Eleanor Rigby. And, okay, he says she is brave, nothing less. So he was a supporter of Greta Thunberg. How dare you? How dare you? Heaven is a place on earth. What's this about? Oh, God, this is, wow. So someone tweeted, can we go to heaven with tattoos? And Crosby tweets back, I heard the place is overrated, cloudy. And then today he gets to find out. What are the odds that an 81-year-old man might be? No. Rampant self-interest. Okay, so he was politically engaged. That's Lauren Boebert, Matt Gaetz, and Marjorie Taylor Greene. For people who don't follow politics, they are Republicans. Tweeting about Speaker McCarthy. Wow. Yeah, so he was engaged in the world. I mean, at least on Twitter. It's very interesting to see. And the fact that he was tweeting about heaven just yesterday. Cosmic, man. Let the dogs out. That's cool. Dante knows everyone to an extent. I'm a great 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon character. That's for sure. Listen, everyone, I have to get to a gig. As I said, I'm working covering some kind of tribute to Betty White. It's her birthday, apparently. I don't know what's going on. It's in Hollywood, so I got to get over there. But thank you for joining us. I'll try to do a show tomorrow. It's my birthday. Please send $1,000 minimum, $10,000 minimum donations, and whatever you want to do to my Venmo. Just kidding. I will see you all hopefully tomorrow. If not, then sometime this weekend. All right. Rest in peace, David Crosby.
We will see you soon.
Much love.
Thank you.
Love.
All right, Dante.
So once again, thank you to my brother. Tell him your name again.
Dante Greco.
2 words. Made in America.
Dante, you're doing great.
That's good. I never anybody over in my life. It's from.
Listen, I want you to leave my good friend Ringo alone.
Yeah.
My pal Hal.
Have a good day.